Good afternoon, ladies. Thank you for joining me. Hopefully a few of the ladies registered are going to be jumping on live. So my name's Claire Lockey. I am one of the team members at the Women in Business. Been working with Women in Business for around just over 2 years now, looking after all of the content and the curation. And a lot of the branded graphics and assets that you see. So I'm going to be doing a session today talking all about creating purposeful and strategic content to support your launch plans. This month we've been talking all about launching your business or launching services and products. So today we're going to be focusing solely on the content strategy around that launch because it underpins absolutely everything. It's such a vital part of a successful launch plan. So I will give it a couple of minutes. We'll see if anybody's going to jump on live. Obviously, you can access this via the replay. So we'll do that. Let's have a look. Let's make sure you can see and hear me okay. Fantastic. It's a gorgeous sunny day here. So hopefully you've all been enjoying the sunshine. Right. Lovely. Well, if you do jump on, if you're jumping on, let me know in the comments. Let me know who you are, what your business is, where you are, if you're launching something at the moment, if you're thinking about launching something, let me know in the comments and then I can answer any of your questions or help you to kind of align the content in the masterclass today to you and your business so that you can get the most benefit from it. I've got a huge amount of content to get through. I could talk for hours and hours and hours on this subject, but what I've tried to do is give you as many nuggets as I can. And obviously the slideshow will be available and there's key pointers on there, but do have a notebook and a pen ready because I'm going to be giving you some additional kind of nuggets that you're going to want to write down because that's where all the juicy information is. So what we'll do is we'll get cracking. Hopefully some ladies will jump on as we go. And we'll go from there. So who am I? My name's Claire Lockey and I'm a content stylist. I started my business back in June 2017. So a little bit about me and my background. In 2012, I qualified as an executive PA and then I went from being a PA into a level 4 qualified careers advisor for the National Career Service and also completed my Petals Level 5 training, which is preparing to teach in the lifelong learning sector. So I am a huge advocate for learning and skills and improvement. It runs through everything that I do, and I'm very, very passionate about that in my business. So I started my business in June 2017 alongside working in a part-time careers role at a university when I had my little boy. He was about 18 months at that point and I was working around 18 hours. I started my business in the June and then I left my role in the November because my business very quickly I got clients and I very quickly matched my wage that I was making in my business. So I was fortunate to be in a position to make the decision to move over and go full time in the business, which has been the best thing that I've ever done. And then I'd spent about 18 months as a virtual assistant, kind of finding my feet and learning about business and getting things in place. And then in April 2019, so last year, I started to niche up and I started to look at my business and decide which bits I loved and where my passions were, and that was in content and creating content. So I decided to niche up and I moved over to become a content stylist in April 2019. So what do? I take your expertise and I turn it into strategic, easy to follow, beautifully branded content that is positioned for your audience. I help you to generate those ideas. I help you to bring those ideas to life and put them into tangible digital assets and resources that are purposeful and intentional and are strategically going to help you to grow your business. So who do I work with? I work with female coaches, educators, service-based entrepreneurs who want to scale their business using bespoke, beautifully branded content and resources. I'm really passionate about authentic and genuine content from the heart that is organically grown, and I'm passionate about helping women to find their confidence in creating that content for themselves. So hopefully you will get lots of value from the workshop today, and please, come back to me with any questions afterwards if you have any. So let's get cracking. So I wanted to talk to you firstly, just to kind of set the scene about creating content with purpose. So when we talk about content, people tend to think just as kind of social media content, as the captions and the images that they're sharing on social media. But content is anything that you are creating in your business, whether that is written, imagery, whether that is email, lead magnets, copy for your website, copy for sales pages, blogs. Content is such a wide umbrella. So when you think content, I want you to think bigger than just social media. We are going to predominantly be focusing a lot on social media in this workshop. But yeah, when you are thinking about content, try to broaden that box and kind of have a little bit more wider thinking. So we're going to be talking specifically about launching today and content around supporting a strategic launch of a product or a new business or a service. So when you are creating a launch strategy for your content, each piece of that content is like a piece of a puzzle, and it's creating a bigger picture. So it's like a journey leading to that final launch. So what I'm going to give you an example of today is going to be the timeline for like a typical 8-week launch, and all the content that you need to be considering through that 8 weeks. Now, you could shorten this and kind of condense it into a 4-week launch. You could stretch it out and have a 16-week launch if you wanted to. It very much depends on the product, where you are in your business, how much time you have, how quickly you want to kind of leap into action. But typically, I would recommend you need at least 6 to 8 weeks for a good launch to be able to set the scene and lay the foundations and put the structures in place to be able to, have a successful launch. So your launch content should take your audience on a journey through that time period, and the purpose of the content at each point in that launch is going to change, okay? And you'll see that as we do the breakdown. The content for your launch is so much more than just what you're going to post on social media, okay? Having a strategic content plan for your launch is the difference between selling no spaces at all and to selling to a cold audience, and to selling to a warm audience who are ready to receive what you have got and who are primed to invest in you and to buy. And that is the difference between, not hitting your goal targets for your launch and, having cash in your PayPal account and hitting those financial goals for your launch. So don't overlook the content, okay? You can't get away from it because you have to create content, but don't overlook the strategy and the planning behind the content for your launch. Make sure you are allocating time for that to think about it and consider it properly, okay? So what we're going to do is let's get cracking. I'm just going to see if there's anybody on live with us. Hello, we have a live lady. Hello, please let me know if you're jumping on live. I'd love to know who you are and what you're doing in your business. Let me know. Please ask me any questions as we go along, and I'd love to answer them for you. All we've done so far is just set the scene, and now we're going to be moving into the launch strategy. Okay, so before you can create a strategic content plan for your launch, I want you to think about the customer touch points that you have in your business. And what I mean by customer touch point is, where are your audience and where are your potential customers coming into contact with the content in your business, okay? So is it on social media? Which platforms is it? Do you have a Facebook group? Do you have an email list? Do you regularly send emails? Do you have a blog? Do you have a newsletter? Do you have a website? What are the touch points in your business where people are going to find information and content about you, okay? Once you've mapped that out and you've got a list of your customer touch points in your business, then you want to think about which platforms are going to be the best from those to support your launch goals. It's very, very difficult in a launch to be everywhere. So what I would suggest is that you pick 2 to 4 mediums and you focus your energies on those during your launch. You focus your content on those platforms. So there's two ways to think about it and how to decide which platforms you're going to use. Ultimately, you want to be focusing on the platforms where your ideal customers are. So if you know that your ideal clients are predominantly on Instagram, you need to be thinking strategically of, do you want to be launching on LinkedIn as well, and Facebook and Twitter? So it kind of dilutes that effect. So what I would say is pick a couple of strong themes, strong places that you enjoy being, and that you know that your ideal clients are hanging out, because predominantly that's going to be the best place for you to launch and capture their attention and deliver valuable content to them. So the other thing we want to think about is, once you've got those touch points, you want to think about the journey that your customers or potential customers or your audience are taking through those touch points. So where are you directing your audience from each piece of content? What journey are they taking, and what call to actions have you got, and are you giving them to direct them to the next step? So we want to kind of think about that. If people are finding you on a blog, where are you directing them from the blog to find the next piece of the puzzle? So it's this kind of journey of giving them, it's like a breadcrumb trail. You're leading them through and you're giving them the pieces that they need to create this puzzle. And ultimately, once they've got that puzzle, they've got the full picture, and that is when you're going to be launching. Okay. The other thing to consider when you're launching is about you and where you are most comfortable selling. Selling can be tricky for a lot of people. A lot of people lack confidence in that sales aspect of the launching. So my recommendation would be, have a think about where you are the most comfortable doing your selling, and then you can map your content strategy around that. Okay, so if you are more comfortable selling on a one-to-one basis and you like that really personal connection, you could focus on trying to sell in the DMs and trying to strike up conversations and nurture conversations and relationships in the DMs, and then sell through the DMs. You might love email marketing, and you might be really confident with that and want to predominantly sell through email. You might want to offer free consultations or discovery calls where you're better on the phone or on a video call. Do you have a Facebook group? In my last launch, I have a very good relationship and a very engaged community in my Facebook group. So I knew that was predominantly where I wanted to launch my new service. I did launch it on a wider scale through Instagram, but I would say I think 9 or 10 of the 13 spots that I sold on my last launch were through my Facebook group, because that is where I know my engaged, warm audience are. And I'd spent the time funneling. So what we're talking about, where are you pointing people? Funneling people into the Facebook group in preparation for the launch, because that is where I knew that I wanted to do my major launch. So hopefully that makes sense. So think about where you are comfortable selling. Where do you want to do your big launch? Okay, let me know if you have any questions. I can see we've got another. Hi Gabby, hi Winnie, jumping on. Lovely, so glad to have you here live. So let's crack on, because we've got an awful lot to get through. So like I said before, we are going to be basing this on a typical 8-week launch period. Okay, like I said, this might be longer, this might be shorter. You can condense this or extend this as much as you feel necessary, but hopefully this will give you the basic kind of idea in terms of timings and the steps that you want to take sequentially through that launch period in terms of the content that you are going to be creating. So the first little section that we're going to be talking about is your pre-launch research period, and this is generally in an 8-week period, kind of weeks 1 to 2. Okay, so this is a time in your launches, before your launch, it's all about warming up, starting to warm up your audience and starting to get in front of the right people. So this is the start of the strategy. Okay, so in order for your launch to be effective, you need to make sure that A, you're in front of the right people, and B, that your audience are open and warm to receiving that launch. Nobody likes a cold sell, okay? And cold selling is not the way that you want to be selling in your business. A spray and stick approach isn't the way that I would advise you to sell. Some people do have that approach, and it's all about the numbers and conversion. But I would say, focus on generating and creating that warm audience before you launch to have a better chance of conversion. And I did a post a couple of days ago all about the difference between making customers and not making sales. Okay, and the difference is making a sale is a transactional thing. Okay, it's money in, money out, an exchange of resources or services. There's very little relationship there. When you make a customer in your business, you are forging a relationship with a person who is going to be with you for the long run. They're going to have that brand loyalty, and they're going to be ready for the next level on your product staircase, and they are going to be your biggest champions, and they're going to be the people who are going to come back to you again and again and again to invest in your business and your services, and they are the biggest asset you will have in your business. It is much easier to sell to people who have already invested in you than it is to find new people to sell to. Okay, so just bear that in mind. Are you making sales or are you making customers? Okay. So this period, this pre-launch period, this is the perfect time for you to do a little bit of market research and to fine-tune your offer. Now, at this point, you should have a very good idea of what you're going to be launching, what it's going to look like. You know, you should have the skeletons of everything together, your sales page and things. But this is a fantastic opportunity to get some insight to help you fine-tune that, okay? So during this 2-week period, you will not be mentioning anything about your launch, okay? We will not be talking about your products or services. This is predominantly the kind of start line of this 8 weeks. Okay, so the types of content that you want during this pre-launch period is going to be kind of market research based. This is all about engagement. It's all about getting information and insight from your audience. Okay, so anything that you can do to encourage engagement and get that insight is fantastic. So you could do that by asking questions. Okay, you could do votes and polls. So for example, you might, if I was going to launch something, for example, on sales funnels, the questions I might be asking are, how do sales funnels make you feel? Do you know what a sales funnel is? What words do you associate when you hear about a sales funnel? Do you already have a sales funnel? Is your sales funnel successful? Why did you put a funnel in place in your business? So it's all about asking topical questions around your launch product and around that topic, because then the information that they're going to give you, if you're finding out about their challenges, if you're getting words back, like if you've asked the question, how does sales funnel make you feel? Or how, you know, what words do you associate with sales funnels? And you get words back like overwhelmed, scary, you know, not for me, expensive. That is absolute gold dust for you, because you can then use that information that you're gathering, this kind of mining exercise, and then you can filter that through the copy and through the content that you're going to prepare for your launch. And what you're doing is it's that psychological kind of trick of narrating back what your client is telling you, so that you are aligning yourself with them and you're saying, hey, I get how this makes you feel. I understand that I'm the expert and I can help you move past this, but showing that empathy and showing that level of understanding to those challenges and those pain points. Okay, you could start testing the waters. So you could start kind of saying, I'm thinking of working on a new product or service, and you know, would something like this be interesting to you? Not giving many details, but just kind of getting a little bit of information, or saying, you know, hey, if I was going to launch a new service, would you prefer it to be on funnels or would you prefer it to be on lead generation? And you could do a vote and a poll. Okay, chances are you already have a very clear idea of what it is that you're going to be doing, but this works on a couple of levels. It allows that engagement, and it allows them to feel involved, and it allows them to feel like they kind of have a say in what you are going to be serving to them to meet their needs. Okay, you could ask them about the structures and preferences. So you could do questions and polls and ask questions like, do you prefer video workshops or do you prefer workbooks? Do you prefer 60-minute trainings or 15-minute trainings? Do you prefer checklists or do you prefer, guides. You could ask a little bit around that. So you could do a little poll on price points. So at this point you might still be kind of fine-tuning those, but doing a little bit of market research on what people might be willing to invest, or can be very, very useful at this point. So you can use this information in so many different ways across this launch period. So you can use it in your captions and in your copy and in your sales pages. And then also, what is a great thing to do is, if people are voting on your polls and voting on your stories, write down in a notebook who is engaging with those, okay? Because over this 6-week launch period before you launch, if you can see a pattern and if you can see a theme of particular people are always engaging with those, that's a very, very good indication that those people are warm. They are warm leads who are interested in what you've got to say in the topic that you are talking about. So you can note down those names, and then what that's starting to do is curate a list of warm leads that you can then reach out to when you are ready to launch. Okay, so let me know if this is helpful. Let me know if you are on live, whether this is making sense. And if you've got any questions, just pop them in the chat box and say hey. Hopefully I'm not missing anything. I'm just going to check. Some other ladies registered and a couple of ladies viewing, so that's great. Okay, so this is pre-launch weeks 1 to 2. We're all about market research. We're all about finding those nuggets of information and that gold dust information that we're going to sprinkle through the rest of this content in our launch. Okay, so weeks 3 to 4, we are going to be talking pre-launch value. Okay, this 2-week period is all about you building trust and loyalty, and showcasing the value that you have to give to your audience, and showcasing the expertise that you have and the knowledge that you have on this topic and your authority as an expert in this field. So remember, when we talk about content, we aren't only talking about social media content. So think about, through this whole process, we're thinking about social media, but also thinking about things like your email list and your blogs and your websites and things like that. Okay, so pre-launch valuable content. The types of content that you want to be focusing on during this 2-week period are things like Facebook and IG Lives, where you could be giving short mini trainings, to just very short 10 to 15 minute, little chunk trainings, looking at one specific challenge or pain point that your audience has around the topic of your launch. Okay, so I've written their Facebook group strategy. This links back to the point of, if you are more comfortable selling in your Facebook group and you have a great Facebook group, what you could do is you could schedule trainings in your Facebook group, advertise those trainings to your wider audience, but funnel people into the Facebook group to access those free trainings, because then you're bringing people into the group that have an invested interest in that topic or that niche, and that you can then launch to in the Facebook group. So IG stories, every single day you can be showing up and you can be constantly giving tips, advice, guidance, talking about the challenges, asking questions, all of it aligned with your launch product, obviously. Okay, so every single day, if you can, just be showing up, sharing value, sharing tips, information. Carousel and tips posts are fantastic during this period. They're a really fun and informative way of giving that value and sharing those tips. Okay, at this point, you want to be kind of working with the algorithm on Instagram and Facebook of sharing that kind of trend-worthy information that people are going to want to save. They're going to want to digest it. They're going to want to share it with their friends. They're going to want to comment on it, because that is going to be working in your favor on the algorithm to start preparing your account for that launch and getting your content in front of the right people. Obviously, your hashtag strategy is massively important during this point as well, to make sure that you are getting yourself in front of your ideal client at this point. Okay, blog posts. If you are writing a blog, this is a great kind of 2-week period to be pushing people towards the blog, to have a mixture of long form and short form content, thinking about the keywords, either hosting the mini trainings on there, or getting your VA, or converting those mini trainings into blog posts for people that don't want to watch the video. So repurpose the content, don't reinvent the wheel, but it's about kind of getting that content across those platforms that you've chosen to use. So value, value, value during this couple of weeks, okay? And we also want to be sharing lots of social proof, showcasing the value and the transformation that you give to your clients during this point, okay? So our first kind of 2 weeks was all about market research and was about finding out those little gems and getting a little bit of information. This 2 weeks now, we're getting a little bit more serious, and we are starting to claim our authority. We're starting to show just how much depth of knowledge we've got and what an expert we are in our field on this topic, okay? Still, we're not talking about the launch, we're not talking about the product that we're going to be sharing, but we're kind of getting that value across, okay? Week 5 is a key week because we're getting sort of a little bit closer now to our launch. So this is all about lead gen, so our lead gen period. Okay, so if you're going to do a lead magnet or a webinar, or you know, a free masterclass or a lead in or an opt-in, this is the point that you would then release that in this kind of 8-week launch period. Okay, so a freebie or an opt-in or a webinar and a masterclass is a really great way in a launch strategy to start to generate warm leads, okay, so that you can then sell to your email list to an audience that you know are aligned with that topic or product or kind of service because they have downloaded or signed up for your masterclass. So it's your freebie, and this webinar or this masterclass should always be very, very closely aligned to what your end goal is for your product launch. So if I'm going to do a you know, a launch on sales funnels, my lead magnet might be something on how to create the perfect lead magnet for your launch funnel, or it could be I might do a masterclass on, you know, 5 ways to write captivating copy for your sales page. So it's taking a very small section of the bigger picture and looking at that in detail. Okay, it's giving them a couple of the answers to quite a key problem or challenge that they're having, but not giving them everything. Okay, so generally the rule of thumb with free content is that you are providing them the why and the what, but not the how. Okay, so you're telling them why they need something, you're telling them what they need to do, but you're not giving them the how. The how is your paid product or service. Okay, the how is ultimately what you are going to be launching at the end. So if you are going to be doing a lead magnet or an opt-in or a masterclass, this is the point to start releasing details of that, and your content can be around sharing details of your lead magnet, sharing the date, what the webinar is, how they can access it, how they can sign up, what's going to happen, what are you going to be covering, how is it going to help them, what are the benefits. You know, your copy should all be around the challenges that lead magnet or masterclass is going to solve, really. So graphics are hugely important across your whole launch. Okay, you're going to need branded graphics to showcase everything, but obviously your freebie. So I am a Canva certified creative, which means that I'm a brand ambassador for Canva. I work really closely with them, hand selected from you know, people across the world to work with Canva and represent them through training. So Canva is an absolutely incredible tool to make super lovely graphics, really, really easy. There's tons of templates on there already. It's very, very affordable. There is a free version, but the pro account is absolutely fantastic for less than, I think it's about $13 a month. The other little gem that I'm going to share with you is Smart Mockups, and I'm also a brand ambassador for Smart Mockups. This is a free, again, there's a free version of it. It's absolutely amazing, where you can mock up beautiful kind of 3D images of your books or your social media tiles, or your you know, putting things in phones or laptops or tablets. So go and have a look at both of those, because they're absolutely brilliant and they will support you with creating these launch graphics. What else did I want to say? Yes, so if there's kind of 2 things that you would do if you are going to use a lead magnet in terms of a download or a physical download of a PDF or a workbook or something like that, what you would do is you would share the information about the download, and you would have an opt-in page, and then obviously they would download it, they would receive that straight away through automation, and then you would enter them into a nurture sequence that would be then spaced over the time period before your launch. Okay, so this would then nurture them through maybe 3 to 6 emails, giving them more value and more information and nurturing them through, so that you then launch to the list on the day that you launch to your wider audience. Okay, if you were doing a masterclass or a webinar, what you would do is you would have an opt-in page where they can sign up to attend the webinar, and the webinar would probably be like a day or two before your launch. Okay, so they would wait for that, they would do the webinar, and then you would launch live to the webinar audience or directly afterwards. Okay, so what you can do is you can have like a bonus kind of thing, in that you can be upfront and say that you're going to be releasing details of your new, product or service, and anybody who is attending the webinar is going to get an extra special bonus, or they are going to get first opportunity to reserve a space or a slot if you've got limited kind of spaces. So there's little things you can do, little tricks to you kind of get that make them want to sign up, obviously, but you're giving them lots of value through the lead magnet or through the webinar anyway. So if you are going to be using ads, now is the time to be thinking about that, of are you going to be doing paid advertising on this lead magnet or on this webinar? Ultimately, you can directly advertise your end product or service, but it's much easier to gain traction and traffic through a lead magnet or a webinar to then sell to after you've nurtured them than directly selling through an ad or a lead, unless it's a very, very low tier product. So just have a think about that. If you are going to be using paid advertising, now is the time to start doing that to build your list. Okay, so this is week 5. If you're going to be doing a lead magnet, you don't have to do a lead magnet, you don't have to do that. There's other strategies that you can use to curate warm leads without building it through your email list. Okay, so let's move on. So your lead magnet strategy. Okay, if you are going to do a lead magnet, it's a great way of building your list. Okay, so it allows you to build a warm list of leads that have an interest. And I should have done this slide before. This is a lead magnet to nurture sequence to launch, or a webinar to live launch. Okay, so if you are going to do a lead magnet or a webinar or a masterclass, there are lots of ways that you can share this, strategic ways that you can share this across your business. Okay, and these are just a few of the ideas. So if you are going to do a lead magnet, you could do content upgrades. So you could, a content upgrade is, for example, if you've written a blog on a subject or on a topic that's ultimately aligned with your launch, you could then embed the link and the opt-in form to your lead magnet into a blog that is aligned with that topic. So it's like a staircase. So they, you'd have a social media post that would direct them to the blog. Within the blog, they would be led to the lead magnet. They would sign up for the lead magnet, be added to your email list. You would nurture through the email list, ready to launch. So can you see that customer journey through the content that they're taking, and whatever point they kind of join at, there's always this next stage that they're going to join in the kind of little elevator that's taking them through the content. So that is what a content upgrade is. So you could embed that lead magnet in any blogs that you feel are aligned with that topic. Email marketing, obviously, if you've got a lead magnet and you do have a list already, you can push that out and say, hey, I'm releasing this, new lead magnet. Although they're already on your email list, you can ask them to opt in, and that will then put them into that new sequence. Okay. You could create a graphic in your email signature and use that for the duration of the launch period for the lead magnet. So if you've got a webinar or like an ebook or something like that, you could use the mock-ups, use Canva. You could create a really beautiful email signature so that every single email you send out, people can click on it, and it's drawing their eye to that, bringing that attention. They can click on it and opt in. Banners. Okay, so this is a fantastic way, and a lot of people don't do this, is if you've got a lead magnet or a webinar, create a new banner for your Facebook page or Facebook group and house it in there, and just leave it there for the duration of that launch period. Banners, you can't embed links in them because they're images, but if they click, it will open the caption where you could then put the opt-in link in there. Okay, so it's a great way. Again, you can have a lovely mock-up of the webinar sales page or the guide or the lead magnet to draw that attention in your Facebook banners. IG stories, you could talk about it, you could share images of it, you know, you could share snippets from it, whatever. You could share it in Facebook groups on allocated promotional days. So if you are a member of other Facebook groups, sometimes there's like a day a week where you can share your lead magnets or your products or your services. So, you know, you can try that. If that group is filled with people that you think are your ideal clients, else it's a little bit of a wasted effort. So again, be strategic with the time that you are spending and think about the activities and where is best going to get you the results that you need. Pin posts on Facebook. So on your Facebook group or on your Facebook page, you can pin posts as announcements, can't you? So it's always the first post that people see. So do that on your Facebook page, and then obviously if people visit your Facebook page, there's a chance that they might click on that opt-in and then sign up. And then you can ask your community to share. You know, hopefully you've got a group of people, clients or, you know, previous clients or the kind of people that you've networked with that would share this on your behalf and would kind of champion you and maybe reshare your posts or reshare your stories. You know, you can ask people to do that and just say, hey, I'm going to be launching something. I'd really appreciate if you can help me get some traction on this so that you can start building up that list. Okay, so that is your lead magnet strategy. If you are going to use one, that's some sort of top tips on how you can use your content to leverage that to start building that email list. Okay, so now we're into week 6 of 8. Okay, and this is still pre-launch period, so this is the last week of that period, and this is all about sowing the seeds. Okay, so this is where we will start talking about your launch and your product, but in not too much detail. We're not giving too much away, but we're starting to sow the seeds. Okay, we should by now have started to curate a warmer audience who are going to be thinking along the right lines. They're going to be in that headspace because you're consistently going to have been producing content on this topic. They're going to be expecting that from you. They're going to start trusting in you that you really know what you're talking about on this topic because you've been talking about it for 6 weeks now in some way, shape or form. Okay, so if you aren't using a lead magnet in your strategy, this is the time where you can start collecting the warm leads kind of manually. Okay, so this might be the time where you start dropping hints in your stories or on your social media feeds, and you can put in the comments, you know, if you want to be first on the waitlist to receive details, DM me. Or you could set up a really simple waitlist page where you can have a strategy where you say, you know, I'm going to be launching something super exciting in a couple of weeks. There's limited spaces available. So what I'm doing is I'm creating a wait list of women who, you know that this is for them and they are going to get first refusal on the spaces. You know, there may or may not be spaces left after that. So it's kind of creating that exclusivity around those spaces and kind of getting people to make that commitment to say, oh yeah, actually I want to find out more about this, I want to be the first to know, and I want to have an opportunity to snap up one of those spaces or buy one of those products. Okay, so at this point, you need to think about what that bonus is going to be if you are going to do a waitlist. So if you are going to kind of use that strategy of creating a waitlist, are they going to get something extra? Are they going to get kind of first dibs, early access? Are they going to get a special price? Are they going to get an added bonus? Are the first 3 people who are going to buy, are they going to get a 15-minute strategy call with you for free? Or, you know, these are the things that you can be thinking about, these kind of layered offers, which we'll talk about in a second. So are you launching to a Facebook group first? If so, this is when you really need to start directing that traffic to where you want to be launching. Okay, so you can kind of up the ante on making sure you're getting those last people ready to launch to in the next period. So this is the point when you want to start building up that excitement in your content around your launch. Okay, so you could do that by you know, going live and saying, oh, I've been working on something so hard, I can't wait to share it with you. I know this is going to be perfectly placed, having spoken to you and taken on all your feedback and, considering everything you told me, I just know this is going to be aligned with so many of you. You can be talking about that and sharing your excitement and passion in your content, about why you're excited about it, why you love it, who you think it's going to help, what it's going to help them with, why you're excited about the transformations it's going to help them make. So at this point, all of your content and your narratives should be talking to that ideal client. Okay, so be very conscious about the way that you're phrasing things. Okay, so at this point, we're not asking questions. Questions was week 1 and 2. How do you feel? Are you this? Are you that? At this point now, we know who our ideal client is. We know who we want to sell our product or service to. So, the language needs to be stronger. It needs to be, I know you feel like this. And you know that because they've told you back in week 1. Okay, I know how it feels to be working 50 hours a week and, barely covering costs. This is your opportunity to use that strength in language to connect with them and show you've been there and you've done it and your expertise has got you through it, and now you're ready to share with them how you've done that to help them get there too. So be very conscious about the language you're using at this point. I know you want this. If you are a lady who, if you are a who needs this, start talking about it in that way. Start dropping the hints. I've got something coming, something exciting. Show them sneak peeks. Use Boomerang, which is a great tool to kind of show them the sales page that you're working on and say, oh, can't wait to share this with you. Loads of ways. Be really creative at this point, but sneak peeks, not too much information. We're not talking about pricing at this point. We're not talking about the ins and outs. We're giving some hints. Who's it for? How's it going to help them? What topic it's on? Why it's exciting, why they're going to want to be involved, who it's for. So that's about the sowing the seeds. Okay, and then we're getting ready now to launch. Okay, if anybody's on live, let me know. I can't see any chats coming up. If you are putting any comments in, I apologize, I can't see them, but I have got the chat open, so let me know if you are on live with me. Let me know if this is useful. If you're a replay viewer, I'm still going to be checking in on these to ask any questions. So if you're a replay viewer, just do hashtag replay, and then I can come back to you. Please do ask your questions. Oh, really useful. Oh, great. I'm so pleased. I'm so pleased this is useful for you. As you hopefully can tell, I'm super passionate about this because I know the difference that content strategy can make, and it doesn't have to be icky. It doesn't have to be all ads. It can be very, very authentic, organic, genuine, heartfelt content that makes the difference in a successful launch. So I'm super pleased it's useful for you. So we're into launch period now. Okay, we've done all of this hard work over the last 6 weeks. We've done our market research, we've sown the seeds, we've provided value on value and value, we've forged our space as an expert, we've shown our authority. If they don't trust you by now, they're not going to. Okay, so by now they should be warm, your audience should be ready, they're waiting to receive this amazing thing that you've been priming them for the last 6 weeks. And this is the fun bit now. This is the bit that you've worked up to and you should be super excited about. During this period, really all you want to do is keep talking about your product. Okay, so the launch content that you're going to need are obviously your launch graphics. Okay, and I've got a little launch graphic checklist for you in a minute. You are going to want to be really, really clear at this point about all of your launch details. Everything needs to be ready by week 7. You need to have your sales page, your sales copy, all of your graphics, all of your emails, everything needs to be ready to go. Beautifully branded, absolutely on point, proofread. Get your VA to support you, or if you haven't got a VA, seek support from your group of ladies and supporters, and just get them to help you. But make sure it's ready at this point. You don't want to be scrabbling around the night before at midnight you're launching, trying to finish your sales page. Okay. So the launch details that you want to be super clear on in your strategy are you going to have an early bird bonus? Okay, so are you going to have if you're going to launch over this 10 to 14 day period in week 7 to 8, Are you going to have a 5-day early bird reward, a quick action bonus, and then is it going to go up to normal price? Okay. Are you going to have VIP options? Are you going to have offer stacking? So offer stacking is, for example, where people might be able to add something on. Okay, so maybe they can add on some templates, and maybe they can add on a strategy call for a special price. At this point, you've got to make that kind of incentive. That's what I did with my last launch. I had an early bird price, then I had a normal ticket price, and then I had a VIP price where people could add on a 60-minute strategy call at a discounted rate for my normal strategy call, you know, and it gave them that saving, but it was that kind of VIP of, hey, we'll do this, but then what you're going to get is you're also going to get an hour 60-minute one-to-one with me as a bonus, but you're not going to pay full price for it. You're going to get this special price. So that's kind of offer stacking there. You want to be super clear on the benefits by now. You know, you want to be really well versed on who this is helping, who it's for, why it's going to benefit them, what the transformation is going to be. So talk about your launch as much as you can. At this point, if you know, sales aren't your thing, this is the point where it can feel a bit strange, because you think, oh gosh, you know, I'm talking about it too much. But you want to remember that people don't see all of your content all of the time. Okay, maybe 1 in 10 of your audience will see each post, so the other 9 people might not know about it. So if you only talk about it once, you know, 1 in 10 people are gonna, it's only 1/10 of your audience that are gonna know. So anybody that has seen it before, it will either reiterate what you've got to say, or they'll scroll on past because they're going to think that's not for me. You know, they might have already made that decision, or they might be on the fence. And the more you talk about it, the more trust is going to be built, and the more they're going to learn about that product or service. Okay, so when you want to be talking about your product, you want to be talking about who it's for, why they need it, and what the benefits are. Okay, so who, why, and what. Who's it for? Why do they need it? What are the benefits? Okay, social proof is super important at this point. So you want to be sharing as many testimonials, as many reviews. If you've got video testimonials to use as content at this point, that is amazing. Okay, and you can be embedding those on your stories, through your social feeds. You can be putting them in your emails. Social proof is super important, because again, we've shown them that we're the expert, but what we're doing at this point now is we're showing evidence that we can do what we say that we're going to do. We've got evidence that we've done it with other people and they have grown and they found value in it. You know, recommendations and referrals is such an amazing content to be sharing at this point. You can be doing products, shots, screenshots. You can be doing sales page. You can be doing run-throughs of your sales page. You know, you can do a story where you're talking through the sales page, and you may be pulling out highlights and saying, oh, you know, I'm excited about this bit, or this is what we're going to be doing here, or, you know, this is going to be fantastic and I can't wait for this session, and we've got this expert coming in, or you're going to get these swipe files, and this is going to how they're going to help you. You can talk about all the different aspects of your product or service or launch, whatever it is at this point, okay? You might want to kind of release a sneak peek of a workbook that you've designed, or you might want to release, you know, if you're using Kajabi or a members area or something like that, or if you're preparing a Facebook group to run a group coaching program in, you might have already set up the Facebook group, and you might want to show, you know, how gorgeous the Facebook group is looking, and say, you know, this is all ready, ladies, it's ready for you to come in, we're ready to receive all the amazing women who are going to join us. You know, there's so many fun, creative ways that you can play around with the content that isn't going to feel like you're just repeating yourself all the time. You're still selling, but it's a much more genuine, authentic way of doing it, without just going, this is what I'm selling, this is the price, this is what I'm selling, this is the price. You know, it's strategic, and this is where that preparation comes in, and that preparation is key. Okay, you can do behind the scenes, sneak peeks, members area, resources, Facebook groups. All right, so this was an example of like a little graphic I made when I did my last launch. You know, I just had this set of branded stories that I put on every single day. They were all preset, and then I did a last slide, empty slide, where I just said, you know, have you got any questions? And I put the stickers on, and I said, you can get in touch 3 ways. You can, you know, link is in the bio for the sales page. You can DM me, or you can ask a question or leave a comment here. And that way, anybody who is kind of on the fence, they can drop you a question, they can ask you to clarify something. Again, that's giving you warm leads that you can then nurture through the DMs and things like that. Okay, so hopefully this is giving you loads of ideas of just fun, really creative content that you can be using through your launch period to help you. Okay, the other things that you can be doing are you can be sharing your excitement as slots are sold. So as you've probably seen this all over Instagram. I see it all the time of ladies writing names on post-it notes and putting them on their wall, or they've got 12 spaces and they're crossing them out. Maybe you're tagging ladies, or you're sharing PayPal notifications as spaces or whatever are sold, and you're kind of sharing the excitement every time a slot goes. You're saying, oh, there's another amazing lady. And you could do, with my last launch, I did like a featured post on all the ladies that joined. I asked their permission. I said, can I share your picture and share a bit about you? Because what that is great at doing is that is showing people who are potentially thinking about it and thinking, well, I don't know if that's for me. If you're sharing the information about the other members, obviously with their permission, that have joined, they might go, oh, actually, she's, I've got a business like that lady's like me and she's joined. Maybe it is for me. Maybe I should have a look at this in a bit more detail. They're seeing normal ladies joining, and that's what you want. You can have countdown timers, you can put a countdown timer every day and just a little video saying like, hey, there's only 4 days left, to take advantage of early bird. There's only 2 days left before the early bird bonus runs out, or don't miss out on this, or, have a little bit of fun. That creates that kind of feelings of fear of missing out and kind of scarcity if there are limited slots, or it's not an open cart, it is a kind of open cart, closed cart period. If you are doing affiliate promotion, this would be time to do it. So if you are, if people are kind of selling spaces on your behalf, obviously they want to be aligned with all of this content and kind of sharing as well. Another great little thing that you can do is you could host like a little live Q&A session answering any frequently asked questions. You could do it on stories, or you could do it on lives, or you could do it in the Facebook group. And you could like, hey, a few ladies, or if you don't predominantly work with women, a few people have come to me asking the same question about my product or my service or my membership or my group coaching or whatever. So what I'm going to do is I just thought I'd do a little live Q&A, and I'm going to address those questions today. So they might be like confirming the price, how it's going to work, what they get, what the time periods are, will they get replays, how they can access the information, is it access limited for a certain amount of time, how long do they have to catch up, what they have to do, what's the commitment, So you could just do like a couple of those little live sessions where you can either have like preset questions that you answer, or people can just jump on and off and ask you questions. Okay. All this content that we're sharing about, obviously we're talking about social media at the moment, but make sure, way back when we first started this workshop, we talked about the platforms that you're going to be selecting to focus on. So if you're going to be doing email marketing, you want to be repurposing this content through your email marketing. But what I would say is don't just copy and paste it. It really irritates me when I see a post on social media and then 10 minutes later I get an email with the social media post in the email. That's not content repurposing in its true form. That's just copy and paste. Okay, so what you can be doing is, if you're talking about something on social media, you can pull out some main points and you can kind of take a different tact through the email. So talking about the same topic, but not giving the same information, perhaps going into a bit more depth, perhaps giving them access to a resource that you haven't shared on social media, or another freebie or whatever. So don't just repackage the post and share it. That's not truly effective email marketing. At this point, you want to be potentially offering discovery calls, or sort of chatting to people. At this point, do you remember way back in the training I said that in that market research few weeks, if people are consistently engaging with your polls and your stories and your questions, did you write down their names? If you did, now is the time to potentially reach out to those people. What we should be doing is, if they are engaging with your stories and your posts and your questions in that few weeks, is to be thanking them and texting them to establish and instigate those conversations. So you can say, oh, thank you so much for answering the question on my post. I'm so glad you found it useful. Or oh, you mentioned that you were finding sales funnels really overwhelming. Is there anything particular? And just start to instigate these conversations. And if you can keep that conversation going, not hounding them, but periodically through that 6-week launch period, you can then come back to them now and say, hey, you know, I don't know if you've seen, but I've launched this new product or service, you know, you might be interested in it. We've already had a conversation about, you know, how you feel about sales funnels, whatever. You know, I'd love to have a chat with you if you've got any questions, or if you feel like it might be for you, you know, or if you can think of anybody else that you feel it could be useful for. So this is where the strategy comes into place. This is where the pieces of the puzzle now start to come together to form that picture and to get that conversion into a sale. Okay, so that is ultimately your 8-week launch period. Okay, and that is the kind of the chunks of how your content should differ through those periods. I know I've talked a lot and really quickly, and I hope that it has been useful. Have we got anybody else on live? Let's have a look. Okay, so anybody got any questions at this point, let me know. Again, if you're a replay viewer, just pop in the replay. I can see there's been some other ladies registering. So if you are watching, let me know and I'll come back to you. I've just put here a little launch graphics checklist. So in terms of the graphics that you need to create, if you want to kind of get yourself organized, this is a good checklist to work from. So you're probably going to need an email header. If you're going to be doing email marketing, you want, you know, an email header. You could have a couple, so through that initial launch period, you could have your picture on it, and you know, just some information, and then you could change it to the lead magnet, and then you could change it to the launch. You could have a blog header announcement. So if you do have a blog and you regularly blog, and that is one of your strategic pillars through this launch period for your content, you could do a blog announcement on the launch. Okay, so you would need a blog announcement banner. Facebook banners we've talked about, you'd need a Facebook page and a Facebook group banner, and you could just resize them. You could do one for the lead magnet, and then you could do one for the launch. Okay, so you can periodically change those. So remember to change them once your launch is over. You're going to want some launch announcement graphics for IG, Facebook and LinkedIn, whatever you're going to be using. Make sure they're correctly sized. You can just resize them in Canva, really super easy. You might want to have a testimonial template to share all of that amazing social proof. You might want to have a tips or a question template where you can ask those questions, ask for the engagement. You might want to have a carousel post during that value period of the launch. You can be giving tips and kind of giving little truth bombs and value through that. You might want to have some product mock-ups. So if you do get onto smart mock-ups, you know, if you have got digital products or a selling course or, you know, coaching services or group program or whatever, even if you're product-based, you know, smart mock-up has loads of gorgeous product-based mock-ups in there. So do have a look, because it's super versatile. You know, you can be sharing, you want to have some of those ready in both your social feed size and in your story size, so that you can share across both platforms. Something that's quite nice to do is if you do share it on your social feed, you can use the little arrow and you can post it to stories. So you can share the feed tile into your stories, and then people can tap on that and come back. So some people don't scroll through feeds, they just go through stories. So again, you've got to think about the customer touch points of how people are using content and how people are consuming content, and are you reaching them in the right way, and then where you are reaching them, where are you pointing them, so you're bringing them back into that journey. Okay, and resource mock-ups and screenshots. So I would say, obviously, we haven't talked about sales pages and things like that, because it's probably a whole nother masterclass in itself. We've predominantly talked around content around the launch, around the promotion of the launch rather than the launch content itself. But this is promotional content. Okay, so that is it in terms of the information that I've got to share with you today. I really hope you found that useful, and I hope that you've been scribbling away furiously and taking some notes. If you've got any questions, let me know. If you're a replay viewer, just do #replay and we'll pick up the questions and I'll get back to you. You can reach me. Obviously, I'm part of the Women in Business team anyway. I've been working with women in business for over 2 years now, working with all of the content, helping Raymonda, you know, with branding and all of the graphics and all of the workbooks and all the lead magnets, everything you see through Women in Business, I've supported Raymonda with. So you can reach me through there. I'm in the group and on the membership, or you can come over and you can visit me on my platform. So on Instagram, I'm at the Content Stylist UK. On Facebook, my Facebook page is the Content Stylist, and I've got an amazing Facebook community as well. The Content Styling Lounge. In there, we focus on all things content strategy, funnels, and Canva. So I give lots of lovely little mini trainings in there. It's a completely free platform, so I would love for you to come over. We've got a really lovely engaged community of ladies in there from all walks of life, coaches, virtual assistants, you know, everything. So I'd love to see you over there, and you can ask me any questions there as well. I'm going to leave it there for today. I can't wait to get some feedback on the session. Let me know what you think. And yeah, next time you're going to be launching, set aside some time to think about your content strategy. Set aside some time to make sure you're mapping this out. Use this structure, map out your 8 weeks on a spreadsheet. You know, week 1, week 2, week 3. It doesn't have to be fully, you know, you don't have to have everything scheduled out to a T, but if you've even just got an idea of the types of content you want to be sharing during that week and giving yourself some structure and some strategy, rather than just having like a scattergun approach and thinking like, waking up and thinking like, oh gosh, what am I going to share today? What am I going to talk about? I don't want to just talk about, you know, the product I've got coming up. There's enough in this workshop, if you've written everything down, to give you over 100 ideas of different content that you can create to warm up that audience and build that trust. Like I say, I'm very much about that kind of organic, authentic, genuine connection in building customers, not sales. And hopefully this content strategy should support you with that. So have a wonderful rest of the day. If you're in the UK, have a lovely afternoon. If you're in the US or elsewhere and it's early morning, have a wonderful day, and I'll speak to you all soon. Bye.